There comes a point when feeling tired, dry, or unfocused no longer feels unusual. It simply feels normal. The body does not protest, it adapts quietly. And in that quiet adaptation, something essential often slips away. This is a story about what happens when water returns, not as a rule or correction, but as a form of respect for a body that has carried a life. For much of life, thirst is unmistakable. It arrives clearly, demanding attention. The mouth dries. The body asks. The response is immediate and instinctive. Water follows naturally, without planning or thought. Later in life, that clarity begins to soften. Thirst no longer announces itself with urgency. It becomes quieter, less specific. The body still needs water, but the signal arrives dressed as something else: fatigue that lingers, a dull heaviness in the head, a sense that thinking requires more effort than it used to. These sensations are easy to dismiss. They feel familiar, expected. Many seniors accept them as the natural rhythm of aging. After all, energy changes, recovery slows, comfort becomes more precious. It makes sense to assume that dryness, fogginess, or low energy are simply part of growing older. Water does not disappear suddenly, it fades. At first, nothing feels wrong. The body adapts the way it always has. It learns to function with slightly less. Systems adjust. Signals soften. There is no alarm, no crisis. Life continues smoothly enough. This adaptability is one of the body's greatest strengths. It is also why dehydration often goes unnoticed. Many seniors live for years in a state of mild dehydration without ever feeling truly thirsty. They do not feel unwell. They do not feel impaired. They simply feel a little less clear, a little more tired, a little slower to settle into the day. It feels normal. Daily routines quietly reinforce this state. A warm drink in the morning, tea in the afternoon, perhaps a small glass of water with medication. These habits feel sufficient. Hydration appears present, but the body experiences it differently. What it receives may not fully support the constant, quiet work happening beneath the surface, supporting circulation, lubricating joints, aiding digestion, maintaining mental steadiness. Without enough fluid, the body does not stop working. It works harder. That extra effort rarely announces itself. It shows up as fatigue that lingers longer than expected, as stiffness that settles in more quickly, as dryness that never quite resolves, as concentration that drifts more easily. These experiences are often attributed to age. And aging does bring change, but not every change is inevitable. The body, even later in life, still relies on water to move efficiently and comfortably. When hydration is low, the body compensates quietly. Circulation becomes slightly less fluid. Digestion slows. The brain works with less margin. The result is not illness, it is subtle strain. Because this strain is quiet, it rarely inspires concern. There is no sharp pain, no dramatic warning, just a gradual dulling, a sense that daily life takes a little more effort than it should. Many seniors describe this as just feeling older. Mornings take longer to feel settled. Focus fades sooner. Movement feels heavier. These experiences are real, but their cause is often assumed rather than explored. Thirst, once a reliable guide, no longer points the way. This is not a failure of the body, it is a shift in communication. As the nervous system ages, thirst signals become less sensitive. The body becomes more conservative in how it asks for what it needs. Hydration becomes something to remember rather than feel. And remembering is not always easy. So hydration slips further into the background. Dry mouth is ignored. Fatigue is accepted. Lightheadedness is explained away. The body's quiet requests are translated into familiar stories about aging. There is no neglect here. Only adaptation. The body continues. Life continues. Independence remains intact. But ease begins to fade quietly. This loss of ease shapes daily experience more than most people realize. It influences balance, mood, attention, and confidence. It affects willingness to move, to engage, to participate. This is how mild dehydration becomes a long-term companion without ever being named. Hydration rarely disappears because of indifference. It disappears because of hesitation. For many seniors, drinking less water is not a decision. It is a response to practical concerns that feel sensible and necessary, concerns shaped by experience, routine, and self-protection. One of the most common concerns is interruption. Frequent bathroom trips can feel disruptive. They interrupt rest. They complicate outings. They introduce uncertainty into a day that already demands careful pacing. Reducing fluid intake feels like regaining control. Control matters more with age. Energy is no longer limitless. Predictability feels comforting. Anything that disrupts routine can feel like a burden rather than a benefit. Hydration quietly becomes something to manage instead of support. Routine plays an equally powerful role. Many seniors drink what they have always drunk. Coffee in the morning, tea later on. Familiar habits that feel comforting and sufficient. Water does not feel absent. It simply does not feel necessary. Routines guide behavior without needing conscious thought. When water is not part of those routines, it becomes easy to forget entirely. There is also the belief that drinking less prevents inconvenience. Less water means fewer nighttime awakenings, less planning around access, less concern about timing. These benefits feel immediate and tangible. The cost feels distant and abstract. Appetite changes also play a role. As meals become smaller, fluid intake often decreases alongside them. The body receives less without signaling urgency. Hydration slips away quietly with appetite. There is also emotional resistance. Being reminded to drink water can feel patronizing. It can feel like advice meant for someone else. Ignoring it can feel like preserving dignity. Many seniors do not want to feel managed. They have spent a lifetime managing responsibilities. Independence is deeply valued. Anything that feels corrective can be quietly resisted. Hydration becomes personal and private. Forgetting also plays its part. Without strong thirst cues, there is no internal reminder. Hours pass without drinking, not intentionally, just quietly. Nothing bad happens immediately. That absence of consequence reinforces the habit. There is also avoidance. Drinking water requires attention to the body. For some, attention brings awareness of discomfort. Ignoring the body feels easier than listening to it. So hydration becomes something to postpone. Later, tomorrow, when there is time. Later becomes a habit. Meanwhile, the body adapts again, working harder with less support. It feels stable. But stability is not the same as ease. When hydration begins to return, the body does not celebrate loudly. It responds quietly. There is no sudden surge of energy, no dramatic change. Instead, there is a gentle, easing-like tension slowly leaving a room that has been held too tightly for too long. At first, the changes are almost invisible. Mornings feel slightly clearer. The head feels less heavy. Standing feels steadier. These moments are easy to overlook because they are subtle, but subtle does not mean insignificant. The body responds best to consistency, not excess. When water arrives regularly, systems begin to function with less strain. Circulation flows more smoothly. Muscles feel less guarded. Joints feel better supported. The mind responds as well. Focus lasts a little longer. Thoughts feel steadier. The mental fog that once drifted in without explanation begins to thin. Hydration does not sharpen the mind. It restores baseline clarity. Comfort changes too. Dryness eases. The mouth feels less tight. Skin feels less fragile. These changes reduce irritation and distraction. Energy shifts, not upward but outward. The body feels supported rather than drained. Daily tasks require less effort. Fatigue arrives later. Rest feels more restorative. These changes accumulate quietly. Often they are noticed only in hindsight. One day, it becomes clear that afternoons feel easier, that movement feels less heavy, that the body feels more cooperative. Hydration does not announce itself. It integrates. The body becomes more forgiving. Movements feel smoother. Balance feels steadier. Confidence grows quietly. Not confidence in performance, but confidence in reliability. The body feels dependable again. Hydration is often framed as a rule, but in daily life it functions as support. It supports digestion without drama. It supports movement without promise. It supports mental calm without instruction. When the body is hydrated, it simply works with less resistance. Meals settle more comfortably. Movement feels less effortful. The nervous system feels steadier. The mind becomes less reactive. Patience increases slightly, not through effort, but through comfort. Hydration does not fix the body. It assists it. This distinction removes pressure. Water becomes a companion rather than a command, and companions are easier to keep. The influence of hydration reaches beyond physical sensation. It touches independence. Feeling clearer supports decision-making. Feeling steadier supports movement. Feeling less fatigued supports engagement. These experiences reinforce confidence. Not confidence in ability, but confidence in continuity. The body feels reliable. The day feels manageable. Hydration reduces the quiet background burden of discomfort that often limits participation. When that burden lifts, life feels lighter. Tasks feel less taxing. Social moments feel less draining. Choices feel more open. Hydration supports dignity by preserving ease. Ease allows seniors to move through the world without constant negotiation with the body, and that negotiation, when constant, quietly erodes confidence. Hydration eases it. What allows hydration to remain part of life is not discipline. It is ease. Hydration that lasts is hydration that adapts. Some days include more water, some days less. Some days forgetfulness intervenes. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires permission. Permission to drink when remembered. Permission to sip rather than measure. Permission to adapt without guilt. Respect sustains the habit. Respect for the body's changing needs. Respect for routine. Respect for dignity. Over time, hydration becomes natural again, not because thirst demands it, but because care invites it. The body responds with comfort, with steadiness, with quiet cooperation. Hydration does not promise transformation, it offers support, and in later life, support is everything.